If you can sell me that chocolate in German, I'll pay you $100,000. Ethan Caldwell, one of New York's most arrogant tech millionaires, leaned back in his chair and smirked as the men around him roared with laughter. He spoke loudly, savoring the moment, mocking the little girl standing beside their table as if she were nothing more than an interruption in his self-made spectacle. "Come on, sweetheart, show us your skills, ja?" he added, deliberately exaggerating the German accent. The girl tightened her grip on the basket in her hands, her small fingers trembling, but not with fear. She lifted her chin. And what happened next made the entire restaurant fall silent. If you love emotional and heartwarming stories, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell, so you'll always be the first to hear our next story. Now, let's begin. Manhattan glittered beneath the cold winter sky. Snowflakes drifted lazily down onto the glowing streets, mixing with the hum of yellow cabs and the distant echo of Christmas music. Inside the Aurelius, one of New York's most exclusive restaurants, the atmosphere buzzed with the anticipation of a multi-million-dollar negotiation. Tonight was supposed to mark the final dinner before the closing of a historic partnership between Caldwell Technologies, run by the infamous Ethan Caldwell, and the German investment group represented by none other than Dr. Lucas Reinhardt, a man known in Europe as the gentleman with the iron principles. Politicians, CEOs, bankers, and a handful of carefully selected journalists filled the room. Everyone knew that where Ethan went, attention followed, not because people admired him, but because they feared missing whatever scandal or spectacle he might create next. Ethan loved it. He loved being watched. He loved being admired. And above all, he loved being the loudest voice in any room. Tonight was no exception. "I studied in Zurich. Learned 5 languages before I turned 25, Ethan bragged, swirling his wine with exaggerated elegance. "I could speak German for you, Lucas, but I wouldn't want to embarrass you in your own language." Lucas Reinhardt smiled politely, the kind of polite, reserved smile used for people whose egos are too fragile to handle honesty. Inside, though, he looked bored. He had met hundreds of Ethans in his life. Men who thought arrogance was charisma, who believed money equaled superiority. Everything changed. The girl with the basket. A soft voice broke through the noise. "Excuse me, sir, would you like to buy a chocolate to help my mom?" A small girl, maybe 10, maybe 11, stood beside their table. She wore a clean but old beige coat, her boots scuffed from long walks in the snow. Her curly dark hair was held back with a simple ribbon, and her cheeks were rosy from the cold. In her hands she carried a basket of neatly wrapped homemade chocolates. The entire table went silent for half a second. Then Ethan chuckled. Then he laughed. Then the whole table laughed with him. "You're selling chocolates here?" "In the Aurelius?" he said, leaning forward as if she had just performed a comedy act. "Sweetheart, this is a business dinner. You don't belong here." The girl lowered her eyes for a moment, but she didn't step back. "I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to disturb you. I'm just helping my mom pay for our rent this month." A few men looked away, uncomfortable. All except Lucas, who studied her with interest instead of disdain. "Let her speak, Ethan," Lucas said calmly. "Maybe she's better at sales than half the men at this table." Ethan puffed out his chest. He couldn't lose face, not in front of Lucas, not tonight. So he smirked, reclined back, crossed his arms, and said the sentence that would destroy everything he had built. "Fine. Let's make this fun. If you sell me those chocolates in German, I'll give you $100,000. The table erupted with laughter loud enough to make the waiters pause. Everyone expected the girl to freeze, to stutter, to fail. But instead, she met Ethan's eyes, unshaken. "Are you serious, sir?" she asked softly. "Of course," Ethan said, pretending confidence he no longer felt. "If you speak German, the money is yours. If you don't, well, you'll walk away with a lesson." A heavy silence spread across the room. Conversations at other tables quieted as guests noticed the unfolding scene. Lucas shifted, the first hint of genuine interest glimmering in his eyes. The girl inhaled, closed her eyes for a brief second, and then began speaking in fluent, perfect German. Her pronunciation was not only correct, it was elegant, natural, effortless. Every word flowed like a native speaker. She spoke confidently, describing the chocolates, their ingredients, the story behind them, and why buying one would help her family. The room froze. Lucas's eyes widened, not in politeness this time, but in genuine admiration. The men at the table stared blankly, not understanding a word. And Ethan's face lost all color. When she finished, she offered him a chocolate. "Here you go, sir. Just like you asked. Now, will you keep your word?" Ethan swallowed hard. His jaw tightened. His palms grew damp. This wasn't supposed to happen. Lucas leaned forward, still stunned. "Her pronunciation is excellent. Better than many of my own employees." The table murmured. The arrogance that had filled the room minutes ago evaporated into an uncomfortable fog. Ethan forced out a stiff, awkward laugh. "What? It was a joke, sweetheart. Don't take everything so literally." The girl's expression shifted, not into shame, but into disappointment. "My mom always says that a person's words are worth more than money." The room stiffened. Several men lowered their gazes. Lucas did not. He stared straight at Ethan with a coldness that could shatter steel. "A joke, you say?" he murmured. "In my country, a man who gives his word does not retract it. Especially not in front of a child." Ethan tried to change the subject. But Lucas didn't let him. "Ethan," he said, raising his voice enough for several nearby tables to hear. "If you cannot keep a promise of $100,000 made to a little girl, why should I trust you with a contract worth millions?" The blow landed harder than any punch. Ethan's mask cracked. The girl took a tiny step back, as if ready to leave quietly. "It's okay, sir," she whispered. "I don't need your money. I just wanted to help my mom. I didn't mean to embarrass anyone." The sentence sliced through Ethan like a blade. Not hateful. Not angry. Just honest. And that honesty exposed everything he was afraid of. Lucas stood, placing his napkin on the table. "I cannot partner with a man who values ego more than integrity." Ethan shot to his feet. "Lucas, wait, don't ruin this over nothing." "This is not nothing," Lucas replied sharply. "This is your word." Silence swallowed the room. Ethan looked at the girl. Then at Lucas. Then at the reflection of himself in his wineglass. For the first time in years, he hated what he saw. Something inside him broke. Quietly, painfully. He reached for his checkbook with trembling hands. "What's your name, sweetheart?" he asked. "Amelia, sir," she whispered. He wrote the check, signed it, folded it, handed it to her. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have mocked you." Gasps rippled across the room. A few guests clapped softly. Lucas nodded once, approving. "Now," he said, extending his hand to Ethan, "I can believe you are a man worth working with. A man who admits his mistakes is far more valuable than one who pretends he has none." Ethan shook his hand, his throat tight. "Thank you," he murmured, "for reminding me." Amelia hugged her basket, smiling. "My mom always says that when someone keeps their word, the sky gets a little happier." The room melted. Lucas ordered 2 boxes of chocolates from her, then handed her a business card. "When you grow up, if you ever want to study languages in Europe, give this card to whoever is in charge. I will help you." Amelia's eyes widened in disbelief. "Really? Of course. A mind like yours should never be wasted." The restaurant erupted in warm applause. Ethan sat again, his eyes glistening. For the first time in years, he felt something real. Relief. Shame. Growth. That night, after everyone left, he stayed alone at the table staring at his empty glass. Amelia's voice echoed in his mind. Words are worth more than money. The following morning, Ethan called his assistant. I want a list of language schools for underprivileged children. And set up a scholarship fund, call it the Promise Grant. Every year afterward, he donated enough to fund dozens of programs. Weeks later, he received a neatly written letter. "Thank you, Mr. Caldwell. I'm studying more languages now. Maybe one day I can teach you real German." Amelia. Ethan smiled, sincerely, maybe for the first time in his adult life. That money he had once felt tortured to give? It had become the best investment of his entire career. The narrator's voice faded out as the restaurant lights dimmed. Appearances deceive, but dignity and integrity should never be negotiable. In the end, a fulfilled promise is worth more than any fortune. In the end, what unfolded in that glittering New York dining room was far more than an awkward moment between a wealthy businessman and a young girl selling chocolates. It was a reminder that the true measure of a person is revealed not in their power, their money, or the image they project, but in the way they treat those who have nothing to offer them except honesty. That night, a simple challenge spoken in arrogance became a mirror, forcing a man who had spent years hiding behind prestige to confront the emptiness behind his own words. And it was a child, armed with nothing but courage, dignity, and a language her mother had taught her with love, who exposed a truth he had long forgotten. A promise, once given, carries more weight than wealth ever could. The people seated at that table walked away with more than a business story to tell. They witnessed how humility can restore respect, how integrity can heal reputations, and how a single act of sincerity can be more transformative than a lifetime de riqueza mal intendida. As for the girl, she left not with humiliation, but with her head high, proving that real strength often comes wrapped in innocence. Her determination inspired a man to rediscover a part of himself he believed lost, and pushed him to make choices that would impact countless others. The moral is simple yet profound. Fortune may open doors, but only honor keeps them open. And a promise, when fulfilled, becomes a legacy no amount of money can buy. Which part of this story touched you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to read them. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our next emotional stories.